That's the spark. Here's the fire. Indiana versus Vegas isn't playing like a series. It's unfolding like a heist in bright lights. The Fever barged into Vegas, swiped Game 1, and left the champs blinking. And then, the tone changed. Not just schemes. Not just matchups. The hum of the whistle became the drumbeat of the story. Fans heard it. Players felt it. Box scores etched it. Before we go further, clarity. What follows captures fan and analyst perception, claims, breakdowns, outrage, receipts. Officiating is human. Intent is unproven. But the conversation has detonated, and it's not going back in the bottle. If you're here for the unfiltered version, not the airbrushed press release, lock in. Subscribe, comment, amplify. We're not waiting for someone else to say it. Let's frame the stakes. Stephanie White is not the type to throw grenades to get clicks. She's a competitor's competitor. Played it, coached it, lived it. She wins with structure, detail, accountability. When she says the whistle's out of balance, people listen. And when the Fever's roster digs in, Clark absorbing hits, Boston absorbing doubles and triples, Kelsey Mitchell sprinting through body screens, Lexi Hull laying her spine on the hardwood, you feel what unfair feels like in the seats. Run it back to Game 1. Vegas couldn't buy rhythm. Indiana's defense traveled. The champs hunted the stripe to counterpunch. Fine. That's basketball. But then came Game 2. Then Game 3. And the rhythm didn't just tilt. It got yanked. The tempo didn't just slow. It got managed. Anytime Indiana strung together stops, whistles chopped the game into ribbons. Momentum. Sliced. Transition. Vaporized. Crowd ignition. Smothered. White hit the mic after. No winks. No, it is what it is. Just investigate. Explain. Fix it. Fans inside Gamebridge didn't need the numbers to tell them what their eyes screamed. Still, the numbers shouted anyway. Free throw gaps like canyon walls. Ticky-tack here, full contact there. Shoulder through the chest on one end is play on, brush by on the other is 2 shots. Over and over. Stoppage after stoppage. 10 seconds. Tweet. 10 seconds. Tweet. Ever tried to find offensive timing while someone keeps slamming the pause button? That's what White meant. Rhythm died at the line. Fast forward to the flashpoint. Third quarter, Game 3. Jackie Young attacks. Whistle on Boston. White signals challenge immediately. Bench up. Hands waving. Crowd on their feet. The broadcast says the timeout to trigger it wasn't in time. In real time, to Fever fans, it looked like the request got swallowed by the floor. Next possession, corner bomb from Chelsea Gray. Momentum flips hard. Gamebridge's cheers crack into disbelief. That sequence, freeze frame, replay, frame-by-frame arrows on social, goes viral in minutes. Threads dissecting screens, undercuts, flops, clips of elbows on box-outs, compilations of call here, no call there. Are those definitive proof of bias? No. They're perception. But perception is the oxygen of sports trust, and right now the room feels thin. Meanwhile, Indiana doesn't flinch. They get tougher, grittier, louder. Enter Lexi Hull, the heartbeat nobody had circled, the name a city started chanting. Questionable, back barking, warm-up stiff. You expect 5 minutes. You get a storm. 6 for 10 from the floor. 3 daggers from deep. 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 dimes, 2 blocks, a theft. A playoff career high on 1 good vertebrae and a bucket of resolve. It wasn't just points. It was punctuation. Charges drawn. Angles beaten. Passing lanes jumped. Screens navigated like a slalom. Her threes were oxygen hits every time Vegas tried to suffocate the room. Her rebounds were knife-fight taps that she somehow kept alive with fingertip torque and stubbornness. Her rotations, on time. Her closeouts, toes to the line, hands high, no fly-by bailouts. That's not a box score. That's a thesis on competitive fire. And because sports can be cruel, The night's conversation wasn't about her. Not enough. Not nearly. It was about the whistle. Again. A spotlight that should have found Hull's face pivoted back to the officials. Metaphor, meet franchise. Underdog grit overshadowed by interference nobody asked for. Let's talk Aya versus Aaliyah, the sequence within the sequence. Aya Wilson is incredible. MVP. Unstoppable at full song. She opened Game 3 with a confident 3. And then, brick, iron, clank, reset. 1 for 11 by the half. Ultimately 6 for 20 for 13. That's not a bad night by her standards, that's a bad night, period. Why? Start with Aaliyah Boston's footwork. Early chest, late hands, verticality discipline. Meeting drives outside the restricted, squaring, absorbing, sliding without reaching. Chest first, hands last. That's clinic-level defense. Boston sat on the shoulder, took away the middle, baited long twos and contested fadeaways with length, not fouls. You want to talk valuable? Value is forcing the MVP into low-efficiency diet shots while staying on the floor. That's value. That's the series whisper not getting enough volume. Layer in Jackie Young, cool as a winter shadow. 25 on rhythm jumpers and timing daggers that hacked down Indiana's runs. Chelsea Gray, the steady surgeon, 15 and a metronome. Rotations cleaned up by role players arriving right on time. When Wilson didn't have it, they had enough. Add frequent trips to the stripe and the margin stayed padded even as the field goals stalled. That's how you survive an off night from your star. That's also how a building full of Fever fans uncorks its lungs and shouts, "Let us play!" Media spin. Predictable. Some game stories blunted the inefficiency with all-around impact filler. Others pivoted early to depth wins, bromides. What slipped through the cracks? The reason the efficiency crumbled. Boston's scheme discipline. Chest, feet, angles. She put the crown in a box and locked it for 3 quarters. That deserves bold print. Now zoom out. This isn't just about 3 games. It's months of accumulated frustration. Clark absorbing contact at the rim with nothing, then watching the same bump draw 2 shots at the other end. Boston battling for real estate and getting hit with ghosts. Kelsey Mitchell sprinting into space, only to be hip-checked into a commercial break. Hull taking hits that never happened, apparently. Over time, players feel it. Fans catalog it. And once the crowd believes the scales aren't level, you've got a legitimacy problem, not a bad night problem. That's why White's words landed like a gavel. She didn't ask for a memo. She didn't ask for a private apology. She asked for sunlight, process, standards, accountability. Whether you call it a centralized replay hub, an expanded coach's challenge window, public last 2-minute reports for the postseason, or a ref accountability dashboard, the ask is the same. Show your work. Don't hide the sausage. Explain it. Stand on it. Fix it where it's broken. Here's a blueprint fans are begging for. 2 coaches' challenges per game, 1 retained on success, usable across quarters, not only in narrow windows. Automatic review triggers for potential hostile acts, restricted area bang-bangs, and end-of-possession contact on shots. Centralized replay center with standardized angles and league oversight to unify interpretations. Public postseason L2M reports, not just for the finals minute. Expand to final 3 minutes and all overtimes. Referee pool transparency. Assignments, experience levels, recent evaluation notes in aggregate form. Clear, illustrated points of emphasis rolled out to teams and fans before the playoffs, with video casebooks. Technical foul consistency clips published weekly so everyone, teams, media, fans, shares the same anchor examples. You want trust. Give people the map you are using. You want the narrative back? Earn it with receipts. Back to the floor. Watch Boston on switches, how she dead-legs the pivot foot to cut the drive angle. Watch Hull top-lock a shooter, then snake a screen, then snap into a rebound with both forearms locked. Watch Kelsey's hips point to the rim, then shift to corner flare, then backscreen a big to pop a shooter open. This is what the Fever built in real time, while the whistle kept slicing continuity into pieces. That matters. That's the difference between a team wobbling and a team refusing to blink. And yes, there were Vegas elbows in the scrum. There were Fever hands across numbers. There were plays both sides could point to and say, that one's ours. That's basketball. But the pattern fans feel, slow drip, slow drag, slow drain, turns the whole night into a trust exercise. When you've got that much new attention on the league, trust is your product. Don't let it leak. Which brings us to the business stake nobody can ignore. Without Indiana's surge, without Clark's blistering spotlight, without the Fever's fanbase turning buildings into pressure cookers, the stage isn't this big. That's why this conversation matters. This isn't small market griping. It's growth market maintenance. You wanted the wave. You got the wave. Now protect the surf. What about the Aya gets no calls counter? Becky Hammond said Wilson had one free throw in 38 minutes in a game. That's a data point. But context matters. The series has tilted whistle heavy toward Vegas in aggregate, per many fans' counts and the on-screen numbers they cite. Again, allegation versus adjudication. But when both narratives collide, we don't get calls, and they live at the line. Someone at the league office needs to step forward and reconcile the dissonance publicly. Silence is not neutral. Silence is gasoline. What happens if nothing changes? You know the script. Players get louder. Coaches get fined. Fans get cynical. Broadcasts get snarky. And the product, your postseason crown jewel, gets a film of doubt on the surface that no trophy polish can wipe off. That's not drama. That's damage. Flip the script. Imagine a fourth quarter where the ref standard is so clear that both benches coach to it. Imagine we can predict, with confidence, how a screen, a slide under, a verticality contest will be adjudicated. Imagine a replay center that posts 15-second clips on social after the game. Here's why we stood by this call. Here's the rulebook angle. Here's the freeze frame. You want to end conspiracy threads? Out-publish them. Now, give Lexi Hull her flowers. She drew fire screens, ate contact, flipped possessions with sheer will. She became the release valve when everything pinched. She turned maybe 5 minutes into 30 of fury. That's the story that deserved the top line. Blood and backbone and belief. Print it. Clip it. Frame it. Give Aaliyah Boston her crown on the other end. She didn't swat highlight blocks into the 8th row just for TikTok. She stood Wilson up, chest to shoulder, and dismantled Plan A. That's discipline. That's IQ. That's film room made flesh. Give Jackie Young her respect. Big-time shot-making, unbothered accuracy, poise that translates. Give Chelsea Gray her conductor's wand. When the offense stalled, she found air pockets and fed them. But don't bury the headline. Trust. Indiana can handle losing to greatness. What they, and the league's new audience, cannot and will not stomach is the sense that the scales are tilting in ways nobody can explain in plain English. So here's the ask, loud and simple. Put officiating standards on camera. Empower coaches to challenge meaningfully. Add postseason transparency as a standing feature, not a crisis fix. Audit and publish aggregate trends after each round. Treat the audience like adults who can understand nuance if you give it to them. One more thing. Fast pace. You want it. We'll give it. Clark darts. Bang. Hip check. No whistle. Turn. Gray off a dribble handoff. Pop. Mitchell slips backdoor. Grabbed jersey. Nothing. Kick ahead to Young. Toes behind the arc. Splash. Boston seals early. Entry angle perfect. Bump on the catch. Offhand pin. Whistle. 2 shots the other way. Gainbridge howls. Hull sprints the wing. Trail 3. Pure. The roof lifts. And then, tweet, illegal screen maybe. Or maybe not. Ball goes the other direction. That's not just momentum. That's oxygen. That's why everyone's throat is raw by midnight. This league is on the verge. Expansion energy. Sold out barns. Cultural oxygen. You do not play small with trust when the whole world is finally peeking through the door. You overinvest in it. You show your math. You welcome scrutiny. You build a playoff so tight and so transparent that even the losing locker room leaves saying, "Yeah, that was clean." Stephanie White lit the fuse because someone had to. Not to scorch earth. To light the way. Investigate. Explain. Fix. Credit where it's due. Critique where it's earned. That's how the W grows up in front of everyone and keeps them coming back. Where do you stand? Did the whistle dictate pace? Was Boston's defense the hidden masterpiece? Should the league roll out a replay center live feed, expand challenges, and post-playoff L2M reports? Are we looking at a one-off controversy, or a stress test the league must pass right now? Sound off below. If you want the unfiltered version, not the sanitized one, hit subscribe and toggle all notifications. This isn't just a series. It's a referendum. And if the league gets this right, we'll remember the basketball. If they don't, we'll remember the noise. Your move, W.